Hello everyone, welcome to this video. My name is Amitabh, a DevOps engineer and AWS community builder in a containers category. As in a previous part of Argo CD one short series, we have seen all these concepts related to the Argo CD and GitOps, and even we have seen how we can deploy our application using the Argo CD UI. And in this video, we are going to see how we can deploy our application using the Argo CD CLI commands and even a declarative approach, the actual GitOps. So without any delay, let's get started. So this is our EC2 instance that we are using, and I have started it, and even I have connected to that EC2 instance. So this is the directory of our code base. So just one thing that I want to mention. So we are using the API server address and the API server port inside our Argo CD install assets to set up the kind cluster and the Argo CD installation. So the networking is used to add the cluster inside the Argo CD. So this is the port and this is the private IP that we are using. And if I show you, so this is the EC2 instance that we are using, and this is the private IP, and this is the same private IP and the same port. So it is just for the kind cluster. If you are using the cloud provider EKS and AKS, so you don't need to mention the networking. So we are using insecure, not having the HTTPS. So this is just for the kind, so that we can add a cluster inside our Argo CD and a multiple cluster. So this is the port and the IP is for that. So I hope you understand this. And now I will show you how we can create a Argo CD application using the command line. So let me clear the terminal and will show you the Argo CD UI. So this is the UI and we have the clusters, and there is no application right now, and I will create an application using the Argo CD commands. For that, you need to log in inside the Argo CD CLI, and so for that you have to log in. So this is the command. I have already logged in into that. If I show you whether I have logged in or not, so if I use this command, Argo CD account get user info, so it will show I have already logged in, so it is a true, and the username is admin. So you can log in using this command. I have mentioned the repo, so you can use it. So Argo CD login and the public IP of the EC2 instance that we are using, and the port where the Argo CD is running, and the username is admin, and the password that you have set for the Argo CD, and the insecure just for we are not running on the HTTPS, so it is HTTP. That's for the insecure flag we have added. And now we have to check which clusters are currently in the we have in the Kubernetes. So these are the cluster, which is a kind Argo CD cluster. So this cluster we have to add. So this command you can use, and you can provide a custom name to that cluster and insecure, and I can easily get a Argo CD cluster list. So it will list both of the cluster that we are added inside our Argo CD. So I hope you understand how you can add a cluster. And now we will see how we can deploy our Argo CD application using the Argo CD CLI. A couple of things that I want you to remember whenever you create an application using the Argo CD CLI and the Argo CD declarative approach. It is just same as we have created an application using the UI. You have to mention the project. You have to mention the source from the repository the code is going to be created, and the application and the destination on which Kubernetes server this application is going to be created, and the sync policy. So these are the couple of things you have to remember while creating the application. So these are the different methods, and but they are using the same things, same parameters to create an application. So to create an application using the Argo CD CLI, we have a command like Argo CD app create and the name of the application, suppose Argo CD app, and we can use the slash command to write a single command in multiple lines. So it will open a second line for to write the whole command in a single line. So we can use the repo, the repository of the code base that we are going to use. So we have this repository, and now we will use the slash again, and now we have to mention the path of the manifest where our Kubernetes manifest file is located. So in our code base it is located inside the app and the slash creators. So we will simply mention the app slash creators, and we will use the slash again, and now we have to mention the destination server. So this the part of the source, and now we have to mention the destination. So we have to deploy our application on the this Kubernetes cluster that we have added. So you can go to the setting. Inside setting you have the cluster, and this is the URL that we need to add there. So we can simply like we can simply paste this. So we can paste it and use the slash again, and now we have to mention the namespace where this application is going to be created. So I have provided this command so that you can use the command also. So we have the destination, so we have to create an application inside the default namespace. And the next we have the sync policy. Basically we have to provide the automated sync and the manual, so you have to just do the Argo CD sync application every time, like this Argo CD app sync and the name of the application. But if you use the automated policy, you don't need to do that. So it will automatically detect the drift and the changes and pull the changes from the git and apply that. So you can use the automated, and it has something like auto prune. It will prune the degraded application automatically. And the how is the self fill. Basically if you have mentioned the, suppose you have mentioned the replica 4 inside your deployment, and someone deleted the one replica, so it will going to heal that replica and create a new replica so that we can match the desired state inside our git. So self fill is the for that. So just this is the same command in the UI approach. We have go through the application, create the application, attach the repository, mention the server, destination, and the sync policy. Just like that, we are using the commands. So we have created a application. So you can see application is created on that server. So we can check using the commands like Argo CD app list. So we can simply copy paste the command. So it will list the application that we have inside our Argo CD. So you can see this the application is created on this cluster, and this is the namespace is default, the project is also default, status is synced healthy, and the sync policy is auto prune that we have set it, and we have the repository. So you can see this is how you can create an application. And now if I go to the Kubernetes Argo CD and go to the application, you will see one application running. So this is the command line interface for the Argo CD. So this is used by the pro of the DevOps, so that they already use the command line tools, they don't use UI too much. So this is how they can create an application. Now you can see the application is properly running. And now if we have to see the application pod and the services, so we can use the kubectl get pods as it is going to run in the default namespace. So this is our Argo CD demo application. And if again we will run the services to get, so kubectl get service. So this is our application. And if we have to forward and see what is the application inside, so we will use kubectl port forward, and then we have to mention the service and the name of the service, which is Argo CD demo. And then we have to mention the namespace. So namespace is going to be default, so we don't need to that. And now we have to mention the port. So I will run this application on the port 3000 in my PC, and the port that the service is using is also a 3000. So we will mention that, and the address is going to be 0.0.0 so that everyone can access this application across the internet. So now we have to open the inbound rule for that port 3000. We will add the rule 3000 and our application. We will save the rule and we will just copy the public IP, open a new tab, and we will paste that IP with a port 3000. So here our application is running via deploying the Argo CD CLI commands. So I hope you understand how we can deploy Argo CD application using the CLI. Now we will see how we can deploy Argo CD application using the declarative approach. So the declarative approach is basically the actual GitOps. So we write these steps that we are using the project, that we are using the source, that we are using the destination and the sync policy inside a YAML file, and we will simply do the kubectl apply -f and the path of that manifest or a YAML file of the Argo CD application that we want to create. So this is just a declarative approach. So we don't need to create application via UI and the CLI. We just want that desired states. We will mention inside the manifest file. It will going to create that only. So this is just a declarative approach. And if you want to understand more about a declarative approach, you can simply search on Google what is a declarative approach. So declarative approach basically means defining what the final you want, a desired state of your infrastructure. So as we want this Argo CD application, this will be the replica, this will be the destination, this will be the source, and this will be the sync policy inside a YAML file, and it will build that application as a desired state of your manifest rather than writing script and how to build it just like we are doing using the CLI and the UI. So declarative approach is very useful and it will create an application based on your desired state. And now I will show you the how we can write a YAML file for that. So we will go inside our application code base and we will use the ls. So we have one Argo CD app YAML. So we will use that only. So we will open it, Argo CD app. So this is the manifest file that we have written for the Argo CD application, that we are using the API version. This you can simply search on the API version of the Argo CD application, and the kind is the application and the metadata about the application. That name is going to be Argo CD demo, and the namespace of this manifest file and the resource is going to be Argo CD, and the specification of the application that we are creating. So we are using the default project and the source and the destination and the sync policy. In source, we have mentioned the repository URL, target revision, which means the repository branch in which branch to use. So we are using the master branch, and we have the path, which is the app/creators, where we have the manifest file of our deployment and the service, and the destination on which server we want to deploy our application. So this is the default server that we don't want to deploy. So we will change this and we will use that custom cluster that we have added. So we will use the URL. So this is the URL of that Kubernetes cluster, and the namespace we want to create a application inside the default namespace, and even we can use any namespace that we wanted to, like Argo CD app. So we can mention that also. And in a sync policy, we have created a automated and a prune and a self fill. It will create automatically. And the sync option means create a namespace true, as if we didn't create it in a namespace Argo CD app. So it is going to create it for us. So it is going to automatically create the Argo CD app namespace. Currently, we do not have that. So this is the manifest file look like to create an Argo CD application. This is very easy. You just need to remember the kind, application, metadata, and the specification for the project. As simple, we are using the UI CLI. You have to mention the project, whether default or a custom project that you have added inside your Argo CD, the source, the destination. In source, we will going to have the repository, target revision, and the path of the manifest. And in the destination, we are going to use the server, which Kubernetes server we have to deploy our application. and we have to use the namespace, in which namespace we want to create that application, and the resources, and the sync policy, whether it is automated, manual, whether it has the self fill and the prune, and the sync option, whether you want to create a namespace automatically or not. So we will save this file, and we have saved this. So we will use the simply kubectl command to apply this file. So it is a argo cd YAML file. So before that, I will show you whether we have that namespace or not. Kubectl get ns. So currently we do not have argo cd app namespace, so that I will show you the difference between create namespace. So now we have to apply this command. So kubectl apply -f on Argo CD app. So it will going to create the application and the namespace for us also. And now if I try to get the NS, you will going to see the new namespace that is created by Argo CD a 10-second ago. So now you understand how we can use a manifest to create our application. So the sync option is properly working. We have no namespace previously, and it is created automatically by the Argo CD. So that by mistakenly, if you forgot to create a namespace, so it is going to create that. And now if we go to the Argo CD UI and see whether they have the application or not, so you can see we have the application created, but it is not going to be healthy because we have a similar application running. For that, we have to delete one. So we will use the background approach to delete Argo CD demo. And once we have deleted this, it is going to be healthy, as both source and the both everything is same, is not going to be created in a different environment. So you can see it is now healthy. So I hope you understand how we can create an application using the CLI and a declarative approach. And in the same way, if I go to check the pods and the services, so we will use the command kubectl get pods. So you can see the Argo CD pods are running, and if you want to see the services, and you can see the service is properly running. And again, if you want to forward the pod, so we will use the kubectl pod forward, and the service Argo CD demo, and then we have the namespace which is a default. So now we have to mention the port and the hyphen address. Now we have forwarded the port, and if I copy the public IP again and open the new tab, so now you can see the application we have deployed using the CLI and even Argo CD declarative approach. So I hope you understand how you can use the Argo CD UI, Argo CD CLI, and Argo CD declarative approach to deploy a application. And the namespace, it is created for the destination, so it is doesn't related to the resources that we are creating. So whatever you have mentioned inside the deployment and the services, it is going to use that namespace. This namespace inside our Argo CD app is for the destination server, not for the resources. And now if we have to destroy or delete the application, we can use the commands and simply destroy the Argo CD server. And we have a commands like Argo CD. First, let's check the application Argo CD app list. So we have one application we can delete using the Argo CD delete Argo CD app delete, and the name of the application. So I am sure to delete that application. So this is the command that we can use to delete the application. So this is a CLI example for you, and that's it. I think the application is deleted. Let me check in Argo CD UI. So let's check. So it is deleting. You can see it is in a deleting state. So I hope you understand how you can use the CLI and a declarative approach. This is declarative approach is mostly used in industry and a widely used method to deploy our application using the Argo CD, a GitOps way. Actual GitOps is the declarative approach. It is mentioned the desired state. So I hope you understand overall the UI, CLI, and the declarative approach, and you can stop the EC2 instance that we are using for the next part. So we will simply go to EC2 instance and stop it. So it is going to run that Kubernetes cluster inside it whenever you run the EC2 instance again. So you don't need to run the Kubernetes cluster again and again. So stop this EC2 instance and we will use it again. In the upcoming video, we are going to see the next concept related to the Argo CD, whether its features, app project, and the multi-cluster, and the lot of Argo CD concepts. So that's all for this video. I will see you in the next one. Jai Hind. Bye.